The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, hello, and welcome to week 4 of this webinar presentation, free online course that I have created to help you be awesome, stay awesome, heal through some of your challenges in life, provide you useful, practical, and real information that can be applied on a daily basis. And hey, if you have any feedback for me to help you even more, I would love to hear from you and do my very best to serve you with all I can do. Welcome, and this week's subject is how to turn rejection into reward. Because for sure, we have all experienced rejection in some form in our lives, but we have also, unfortunately, dished out rejection to others, even unintentionally and not deliberately. But everyone has experienced rejection at some level in their lives. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that this presentation tonight will give you lots of good stuff to take away with. Thank you for sharing your time with me. This is time that you've put aside to, invest in yourself because you so deserve to be your best and most important project in your life. The information that I presented today is on an educational and general advice nature. Although I've tried to be as precise and succinct with the information, of course, it is obvious that I cannot use personal information for legal and privacy reasons. However, I want you to know that all the information that's presented in this webinar today is authentic, has been created and designed by me. And I have had so much fun putting it together. It has been a wonderful journey for me, and all the information presented here is my original property, Marie Esteban. I have played with different brand names over the last couple of years, but I do believe this one resonates a lot of what I stand for, creating extremely tough leaders. So this is all my good stuff here. Contact details for you on the screen now if you would like to connect with me and if I can help you along your journey. Mobile, email, website, which is under construction, and of course, Facebook page, which I have a few on there. So connect with me very, very soon. A little bit about who I am. I'm a personal trainer. I have been in the industry for 28 years, a Reiki practitioner, certified NLP practitioner, life coach, and now I'm a counseling student through the Institute of Family Practice. And I'm enjoying the journey and the learning. I'm not so excited about the challenges that I have to do, but I know those challenges are to help me grow, be healthier, and be a better healer for the people I work with. I'm a mummy. I have 2 cats, Lulu and Mufasa, who not so long ago, before starting this presentation, they had a fight and I had to separate them, time out in their respective corners. I love what I do, and my intention is to support people through challenging situations and life experiences to come out the winner. I have a red car and I love it when I get it serviced because they wash it and vacuum it and polish it. So that's a good thing for me. I used to be a professional Latin and flamenco dancer. I've retired now from that, but I do love to boogie. Rejection, being rejected and rejecting. As I said earlier in the presentation, we have all experienced this and done it to ourselves as well as done it to others. Now, rejection does happen, and why it happens, the reasons are many. What I've done is I have, culled down to the main areas where I feel, and based on research experience and information I've obtained, where rejection tends to stem from. Rejection origins, childhood and adult experiences, unhealed traumas, personal wiring, defunct thinking, self-destructive habits, and psychological imbalances. Let me start from the top. It is common belief that childhood traumas are the only result of experiencing rejection and abandonment and so forth issues. And that is not correct. Um, yes, they are perhaps more common, but you may have had, and I say you in the general sense, a wonderful nurturing environment, and for all reasons, it appears that you will grow into a healthy and happy adult. However, growing up, you experience situations that really are catastrophic and toxic to you, or even in your adult life, divorce, separation, family loss, financial loss, abuse, self-harm, then those experiences can leave scars in your psyche and neural pathways that can create problems for you behaving healthy with other people. And those unhealed traumas can stay dormant for a very, very long time. And so much so that, unfortunately, being unconsciously incompetent, we can function in unhealthy ways, not realizing why we are doing what we are doing and where that is coming from. Personal wiring. We all have a certain style of personality, and that's a wonderful thing because we do not want to be like other people. I am not like other people, and other people are not like me. I have my gifts, talents, and abilities, just as I have my insecurities and inadequacies that I, do work on like we should. But I have my personal wiring, and I am the way that I am about certain things, and that's okay. But where those habits and behaviors affect my ability to function in life, that's when those wiring habits may not be serving me, and I need to start paying attention to them. Defunct thinking. I'm unworthy, I'm not lovable, I don't look the part, I don't have the right hair, I don't have the right color, I don't have the right family, I don't have the right this or the right that. That is thinking that is not healthy and destructive, and then we internalize that and we cause ourselves to behave in ways that aren't healthy in relationships. Self-destructive habits. Now, I put a lot of things in that bucket, from over-exercising to not exercising, to not practicing self-care, to being rigid with self-care, to overeating, to over-drinking, not getting the right sleep, low boundaries, no boundaries, not even looking after ourselves medically, not getting checkups. So that's an irresponsibility on our part, and we need to look at why we are not doing those things. It could be a number of things, but definitely if you're not practicing self-care on a healthy level, that's something you want to give attention to. And psychological imbalances. It is a proven science now that we all inherit deficiencies or perhaps imbalances that can exist in people in different ways. For example, the ability to absorb calcium or absorb vitamin C, or overproduce insulin, underproduce insulin, not enough of certain hormones in our body, or menopause, or anxiety. They create imbalances psychologically and neurally, and that creates, of course, ways that we may not realize we're not behaving properly. So something again to look at, and particularly trace it back to your family of origin to see what factors may have existed there that you want to pay attention to. For example, if in your family of origin there is a trace of people with cancer or depression or alcoholism, you may want to look at that and say, well, it's funny, I get tired a lot, or I have cravings for sugar, and start to look at those imbalances. Now, rejection really is a message. It's telling us something, and you might go, well, of course, you don't need to be a scientist to figure that out. But let's have a look at that a little bit closer, because it really is the universe and our external factors letting us know that something or someone is not right for us. But also, and listen to this is very important, because you may not be the right match for someone or something in your life. And we don't want to hear that, because we think, well, how can that possibly be? But maybe where you are in life, you're not a match to certain things or certain people. For example, and this is not necessarily rejection, but different work environments. I don't resonate with certain work environments. It's just what it is, or certain people or certain things. And that's just what it is. So I'm not going to try and force that situation. I just simply choose a different place to be. We're all created to be loved, accepted, and appreciated. And we deserve to do that for ourselves, and we deserve to do that for others. It's when rejection from ourselves and from others affects our life detrimentally that then starves us from opportunities to be a blessing and to bless others. So it is a message. It's telling you something, and if you ignore it, it will keep on happening until you start to pay attention. It's a beautiful saying that, and I've said this, and those that know me in my personal life know I've said this, that this, here we go again, one more time around the mountain, because as long as you continue to not pay attention to what's happening, it will continue to not only happen but possibly escalate. Rejection is a message, particularly if you've experienced a very painful rejection. It says a lot of things. It says, well, hey, I'm not worthy of this person or anybody's time, or what's wrong with me? Why do people reject me? And then you really need to ask yourself, why do I speak to myself this way? Why am I feeling like or perceive that people don't love or accept me? And they can really sink down into deeper wounds and hurts that may lay dormant for a very, very long time. Now, look, I've experienced rejection from different people and situations, and honestly, at the time, I really thought my world was going to cave in, and I didn't know how I was going to function and survive it, of course, because the world is coming to an end. Very, very catastrophic type of thinking. But if we look at why that happened, and I had to stop and look at why that happened and continued to happen, I need to look at what I am doing that's not only attracting but contributing to the situation. And I have a responsibility to look at my own life and examine it and get the right help and resources to help me heal from those wounds. Now, there are many symptoms of rejection, just as there are symptoms of other dysfunctional behaviors. But we're going to look at perhaps the most common ones today. I think that's rather cute, the picture on the left with the elephant, and some days I really just feel like putting my head down and burying it in the sand and just having a bit of a wallow pity party. And there are only 3 people in the pity party, by the way, me, myself, and I. But we do need to face rejection, and we do need to deal with rejection in the best possible way and allow that rejection process to take its time, because it is a grief, and grief goes through a cycle, commonly referred to as the 5 stages of grief or the 5 cycles of grief. Now, symptoms of rejection, behaving a certain way to be accepted, and I think females can fall into this trap, but we want to fit in with our friends, our family, our co-workers, so we start to dress the same, look the same, act the same, go the same places, same gym, eat the same food, because we want to be accepted, because we don't feel that we're worthy in our own right the way we are. And that comes from a non-acceptance, non-worthiness, rejectionable attitude about ourselves that has come from many reasons and many situations that we then behave this way. And it's very true. I mean, I was married to a man who had a different cultural background, and I tried to fit in with their culture. I really, really did. But really what I started to do then is behave in the way they wanted me to behave, and of course I lose identity. Thankfully, I was smart enough to pull myself out of that and say, hey, you know what? I love the culture. It's what I married, but I also have my own unique culture and unique identity, and then it's up to them to accept it or reject it. That's their issue, but you need to have your own identity. Rejecting others so that you aren't the first one to be rejected. I'm very sorry to say, and I disgracefully admit that I have also done this to people that I love, because I can see the writing on the wall. It's happening at a rate that I can't control. So rather than be hurt or be rejected, I reject them, and vice versa. People have done that to me as well when I've been trying very, very hard to do my best in conditions that perhaps may not have been great for me at the time, and they rejected me for whatever the reason. Maybe, they thought I deserved it, or they just didn't feel that I was a match, or they'd reached an impasse, or whatever the case is. But definitely I've experienced that also, and it's a hurtful thing to do. You're saying to this person, you're not good enough to exist in my circle. We're not talking about clear-cut cases of physical, emotional, financial, and psychological abuse where there are clear-cut situations. We're talking about soft situations where, things might not be going well with a friend or a loved one or a co-worker, and you just cut them off. Don't give them the benefit of having a chat to them and saying, hey, this is a problem, let's talk about it. And even if you still choose to walk away from each other, you've done it in love, respect, and consideration. Worrying if people like or accept you. A big one, a big one, a big one. If you think people don't like you, you think people are not going to accept you, you worry if they're going to accept you, you worry if they're going to like you. It is a vicious circle of thinking that you are never going to get any satisfactory outcome. People will not like you. You need to accept that. We are not meant to like everybody in the world, and not everybody is meant to like me. I really don't care if people do or don't like me, particularly as an instructor and trainer and coach and soon to be counselor. If I worry about what everybody else is thinking about me, I'm going to end up in a straitjacket. I'm going to have problems in doing my job. I just do my very best, and I really have to understand that whatever they think about me, providing I've done my very best, is their stuff. Otherwise, I'm not going to be healthy and congruent for me. Trying to fit in and be a part of everything, you just can't. You simply cannot fulfill everybody's expectations and obligations. I've tried, trust me, I've tried. I've got awards for trying, and I got so sick, I got so tired, I got run down, I got used, I got abused and manipulated because I allowed it to happen. So now if I do not feel I fit into something, or it's just not a part of me, I'm loving about it, and I'm honest and sincere and upfront. So I give the person the due credit and time and energy they deserve as a human being. Difficulty accepting criticism or feedback. People with rejection issues do have, they do have issues with accepting objective criticism and feedback. Now, I'm a chick and I love feedback and compliments. Of course I do. And I do not want to hear that I've done something wrong or said something wrong. But I've heard this happen and I've experienced this, and I particularly find it a concern. Do you like my hair? Do you like my shoes? Do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like that? If they get an answer they don't want, then don't ask the question, because I want to be honest. I'm not going to be hurtful, but I'm going to be honest. And just like when I say and do things that aren't right, I don't like it. I don't like being told that it's not, wasn't done in love or whatever. But I have to take the responsibility for what comes out of my mouth and what I do. And the why me, blame, 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 why me? Why does this happen to me? Why doesn't this happen to anybody else? Why me all the time? I'm so sick and tired of this happening to me. This happens to me. Listen, you can choose to be in effect of what happens in your circumstances, or you can stay, or you can work towards being in cause and being a contributor and a director of your circumstances. Now, if you are in situations that were no fault of your own and you're stuck there for some time, that's horrible. I've been there, but you've still got some choices out of what you can do when you're in that situation. But saying to yourself, why me, and blaming yourself will not get you the outcome that will help you. So change, reframe it, look at why you say that, work with a trusted therapist or friend to help you. Other symptoms of rejection, the need to be right all the time. So this statement is so very true. Would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? Now, I'm a very principled person, and I do have very, I guess, high standards of principles and integrity and ethics, but I really am getting to the point as I get older and grow up that I would much rather be happy than be right. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. Because we grow and evolve in things. And what I thought was right maybe 5 or 6 or 3 years ago, I may not be right now. Or I may have a different understanding. I may have evolved in my consciousness to understand. So let me encourage you, don't worry about being right all the time, but certainly focus on being happy. Feelings of worthlessness, insecurity, or hopelessness. When you feel rejected, you can feel worthless, you can have great insecurity and feel helpless or hopeless. It can feel like a pit. You've got no way out. Please let me encourage you to look beyond that and know that you are truly an amazing person, however you are built, however you are wired, and whatever you do. But allowing the situation to create and continue to feed the worthlessness message will continue to exacerbate the problem for you. Asking for feedback and approval to feel better. Did I do a good job? Did I sound great? Did I sound nice? I do ask for feedback about what I do. I certainly don't ask whether I've done a great job or not, because if I'm going to ask for feedback about a certain thing, I'm going to make sure that the feedback that I ask the person that I want the feedback from is an expert in that field. So I'm not going to ask someone who is not experienced in what I do to let me know and give me critique on my for example, my webinars. But I definitely am going to listen to my coach and my marketing expert, and he can tell me, yes, Marie, you did that great. This needs work. That doesn't. This because he is the expert. Now, if I want to say, hey, when I was with you the other day, did you have a great time with me? Yes, I did. Fantastic. No, I didn't. Really? What happened? And then you can talk about it on that same level. I don't need feedback from people to tell me I do a great job or don't. But if people want to tell me, fantastic. I will take all the compliments I get. Envy, jealousy, and hate. Very, very common. People that suffer from rejection can be envious, can be jealous, can be hateful, mean, spiteful, unkind, manipulative, controlling, and just downright nasty. Not because they're evil people, but things happen and we behave behaviors that are just not nice. And a one way to explain that is this, that you might be trying really hard to work on different things in your life, and then something happens and it reminds you of stuff that wasn't very well, and you take it out on others. You're nasty or mean, unkind, hateful, spiteful to other people, even people that you don't even know, as a reaction to what's happening in your circumstances. Please be aware of that, and if that is happening or it's happened to you, you need to look into that. Speak to the person or persons who are treating you like that, and if you're doing that, you need to stop and look a little deeper. And fear of confrontation, what will happen and what if? Look, what if happens will happen. I mean, let's face it, we can't control people. We can only control ourselves. So fear of what may happen in the future is almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you fear the very worst, then sometimes things just do happen to confirm your prophecy and confirm your fears. But it really is. Things just will happen in life. And we do have to learn ways to manage it. So worrying about the what if may happen if this doesn't happen because of that is only causing you perpetual angst and anxiety and worry, and that will affect you on a physical level. Look at your life and see where you are worrying all the time. Internal rejection. You mean someone just doesn't like me? No, yes, that's right. There are people that just don't like you. But what about if you don't like you? What if you don't like what you are and who you are? What if you internalize the things about you that you think aren't acceptable? People do reject you for lots of different reasons. But let's say that you've been an amazing person, friend, partner, lover, social, worker, etc., and they still reject you. Well, you can't explain it. You don't know why. And you're not going to beat yourself up over that, because at the end of the day, you only know so much based on you and your experience. You don't know what they're thinking, and you don't know what their experiences have been. But it can also be a form of manipulation and control, because we want approval. So a bit of a push-pull effect. And it goes something like this. Well, if you do what I say, and if you do how I want it done, and if you behave that way I want you to behave, then I will love you and like you and accept you. But when you do things that I don't like, speak, say, do, etc., socialize with certain people, well, I'm not going to like it, and I'm just going to reject you, or I'll ignore you, or you will be invisible to me. And then later on, when I feel like it, I'll let you know I exist, and I'll pretend nothing ever happened because you need me. I don't need you. In fact, it's the very opposite. You need them, and they're triggering you. So if you know someone that's behaving like that, have a chat to them. If you are behaving like that, have a chat to yourself, because you have no right and no responsibility to behave like that to others or others to you. Hurtful, yes. And why is it happening? Many reasons. So look at what people do to you and what you are doing to others. And if you're using the push-pull mind game, then what's going on with you? Why are you so jealous and envious and hateful and nasty, or vice versa, other people to you? And what is it that's happening at a deeper level? A little bit deep there, but necessary to be discussed. Childhood rejection. Children are very, very impressionable. They do not have the cognitive ability to process and analyze information objectively. They will internalize things because they are still learning and they are trying so hard to get love and receive love whilst working on creating their own identity and interdependence and dependence. And they are very vulnerable to rejection. And a rejection to a child can have horrible consequences, particularly if it was intentional and intentional abuse from carers and family. And kids at school, when they play taunts and, terrible bullying games, that says you're not my friend anymore, you're not worthy of my attention. Verbal taunts and criticism can create inferiority complex in children because it just says you're not good enough to be in my circle. We do not want you, you are a reject. And kids can keep that, for years and years and years and behave that way with others in an adult fashion. I've heard this said just recently, and it's been said to me, you know, well, I don't like so and so if they come. And I've been invited to, social functions, and I've been told, well, if so and so is there, I'm not coming. Or if so and so is there, I don't want to be there. Or please don't invite so and so, I don't want that person there. It's really none of your business or my business. And that says a lot about you, that maybe you feel inferior about something that's got nothing to do with that person or something that happened a long time ago that you have not dealt with. So again, look at your experiences from childhood to see where you may be playing out defunct thinking and behaviors. Now, I was very severely rejected during my growing years, and particularly coming into this country. We came under very severe circumstances, and growing up, I didn't speak the language, I didn't tolerate the climate or the food very well. I got very sick from the change of lifestyle. I was very skinny. I got, criticized, bullied, picked on, beaten at school. I had to learn the hard way to survive or else I just, wouldn't cut it. And I had to learn that I had to be tough and strong and hide insecurities. And that really was awful growing up. I suffered from that and did behave as a result of that in ways that I now realize were just behaviors from that experience. I had to learn very quickly at home to look after my brother and sister. I really had to be an adult before I was a child. And if things weren't done right, then of course there were severe consequences. And so I grew up with a way of functioning dysfunctional. And unfortunately, this is what can happen in our home, at schools, in communities, in cultural environments, both in in our childhood stage as well as adolescence and adulthood. So if you've experienced any of those things or your own things and you can relate to what I'm saying, then for sure you've experienced rejection. That doesn't mean that you are not worthy of love, but it definitely means you've experienced some rejection that may warrant some attention. Work, religious, and business environments, they criticize you. I've been criticized for my career choices and love partners. And, that's not to say that they were wrong or they didn't love me. But at the end of the day, I do have a decision to make. And I do live with the consequences of it, what works or doesn't work. They taunt me for my beliefs and ignore me. I not included in communication or social engagements. They do pretend to like you but have duplicitous agendas, excluding you, ostracizing you, not talking to you, not including you, punishing you, being aggressive to distance you and punish you because of who and what you are, and even embarrassing you in front of others. These are things that people do that says a lot about them and very little about you. So again, and these are other ways in which people use rejection to control and manipulate you. Not very nice, terribly embarrassing, humiliating, and painful, but that is what people do. And now the effects of poison really are quite horrendous. The effects of rejection, I should say, are poison. They seep into your psychology, your emotions, your physical condition, your spiritual, your finances, your environment. They affect every aspect of your life. Nothing is missed in rejection. But there is a way that you can walk through it to come out an amazing person. I guess I need to put this here also because this is very, very important. And the question that I want to ask you today is, do you like who you are? I didn't like who I was for a long time. I didn't like the color of my hair. Obviously coming to Australia, I have black hair, curly hair. I was skinny, a different environment, blonde haired, blue eyed kids, beach kids, that sort of thing. I was trying to fit in. My education background is just stupid, bad, unacceptable, wrong, or it just didn't fit in. And maybe you can identify with some or all of those things. We're very quick to encourage and lift others up, but hey, what about of ourselves? You have what you have and you are what you are. If you're short, tall, round, skinny, whatever, you are what you are, and nobody has the right to condemn, criticize, or judge you for who you are. Now, if you don't like things about yourself that you can improve on, you need to go right ahead and do that and be diligent, pay the money, do the work, and get the result. But you are born with a set of prints, and they're the prints you've inherited. That doesn't mean you can't change them, but it does mean you have to work with where you are, with what you have, to improve wherever you want to improve in your life. But not liking, hating, sabotaging, and harming yourself is a different thing altogether. And that speaks of rejection. Rejecting yourself really is a very toxic habit that we internalize and we suppress, and those wounds run very, very deep, and they're very painful because we talk to ourselves all the time. We ruminate about what we're not doing right and what we're not saying right. And that mind language, that mind monkey chatter plays over in our mind 24 hours a day. And when you keep doing that, you are keep telling yourself over and over again that you are not a worthy person. Rejecting yourself. If you feel that you are rejecting yourself, then it's time to say, you know what? I've done all I can on my own. I really need to think about getting some support and the right support to help me through this process and uncover what's happening at a deeper level to identify a healthier identity and create better well-being for you. Now, I don't believe that we are, meant to work on ourselves alone. You can do some work on your own, and you should and you need to, but we are created to have connection with other human beings. And the support that you will get from a trusted professional or friend is necessary for your well-being. They're a bouncing board. Healing from rejection. That's a really beautiful picture. And I didn't realize that at the time when I was looking for pictures, I spent about half an hour trying to find a suitable picture for this particular slide. But if you have a look a little closer, there are some angels on the arm. And I didn't put that picture there specifically for the angels. I just really love the colors and I love all things Buddha. So I just think those colors are awesome. Healing from rejection. Okay, we've talked about where it may come from. We've talked about the symptoms of rejection. Let's look at how we can now work towards being healed from rejection, because that's really important. Yeah, we need to understand where, we need to understand why, and now we need to understand how to climb out of that. And it really is possible. I can tell you that the kind of person I am today is distinctively different from the person I was many years ago. And thank God for that, because I don't want to be that person. And in a year or two or three or five, I don't want to be the way I am now. I want to be an even better example of myself. So I am going to continue working on myself, both for me and to help others. It is a grieving process and it takes time. And look up the grief wheel or the grief cycle. I think there are 5 stages of the grief cycle that we need to go through to heal from rejection. And until we've passed all those cycles, we're not going to be free. Now, you may jump from anger to denial, from denial to acceptance, from acceptance to anger. But whatever stage you are or how you jump, be mindful that it is a process and it can take any time. And that time depends on you, your experience, and what you do about it. Support from a trusted friend and health practitioner is super, super, super important. I've been so fortunate to have wonderful people in my life that have non-judgmentally listened to me and allowed me to express my inner wounds and not judge me and accept me. it's a blessing to have had people like that in my life and have people like that in my life. I'm very, very fortunate. And if there's no one in your life that you can turn to in that way as a friend or a partner, then do get some outside source of assistance, because you can find someone that's reasonably priced, and you may need to go through a few practitioners to find the right one. That's just the way it is. It's just like the right massage or the right manicurist. You've got to look around until you find the right one for you. Reduce social media. It's not human contact. I don't care what people say about social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all the other platforms. It's a wonderful point of connection, and you can establish relationships outside of those platforms, absolutely. But they're not real up until the point where you do have human contact. Reduce it. You don't need to be spending hours on social media and so forth. You want to talk to a real person in front of you, or at least on the phone or Skype, that you can have that human energetic connection. That's necessary for us to resonate at a level of energy where we can create a connection, and it's a bouncing thing for you as well. You talk, respond, talk, respond, talk, respond, talk, respond. And there is a personalization with that connection. Excessive ruminating. I say I've recovered because I think that really was a prime issue for me, ruminating over everything catastrophic. I have had to learn to shut my mouth. Ruminating over. All you're doing is repeating what has happened to you over and over and over again. I'm not saying that that's not going to be important in a counseling or therapeutic professional environment. But for the love of God, if you're ruminating it to yourself and to your loved ones, you've got to stop it. All you're doing is reinforcing the bad stuff that happened to you, and it's sinking further into your neural pathways. Accept that rejection happened. It did. It just happened. It wasn't an illusion. It wasn't a mirage. It may feel surreal, but it definitely, definitely happened. And because it happened, you need to come to a place of acceptance. And again, that's part of grieving, because if you haven't accepted it, then maybe for you that is the first place you need to work at, and that is to accept what happened and then go the next step forward. Until you accept that it was real and it happened, and you stop fighting it or stop denying it, that will be a stumbling block for you. So I encourage you to look at it, what it is, and accept that it happened, not accept that it was right or wrong, and not say, well, I didn't agree with it. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to accept that it did happen. Try not to personalize rejection. And I know that's hard, and hear me out here, because rejection is personal, whether to ourselves or to others. But we don't know what's happening in people's lives, and we certainly don't know what they're doing and what they're going through. And whatever they're doing may or may not have anything to do with us. And look, I've been rejected by people that I kind of wonder, what the heck did I ever do to hurt them or offend them? And there are some people to this day that I can't work out what it is that they think they needed to do that. But that's okay. It's what they did, and they may needed to do that for themselves, for their preservation. I can't control that. But what I can control is what I do about that rejection. And spend some private time looking after yourself. If you are not practicing self-care, you are being irresponsible. And I'm not talking about eating 3 meals a day or having a shower. I'm talking about looking after yourself medically, getting the right treatments if your body or your mind needs assistance, massages, all those sorts of things that we need, or professional services, physio, chiro, massages, treatments, eating well, having good, safe boundaries, getting the right sleep, not overdoing the alcohol, not overdoing the sugar, not overdoing the partying, not staying out late all the time and thinking you're going to get away with it endlessly. Really look after yourself. I look after myself as best as I can. Sometimes I'm fabulous at it, and sometimes I'm not so fabulous at it, but I do make it a priority. I walk away for a while if possible. Sometimes when the heat is on, you've just got to get out of the kitchen, diffuse the issue, spend some time away, allow you or others to diffuse from the tension, and come back when you can be objective, when you can use some logic and common sense and think and talk objectively without the poison, without the venom. And if someone invites you to do that, give them the time and energy and courtesy. They deserve it, and so do you. If they don't want to do that, you can't force them. But at least give them the benefit of that, and vice versa. You should invite others into your circle that you feel you're being responsible in hurting them as well. If they decline, they decline. But hopefully they will be reasonable enough to say, hey, you know what? No matter whether I think you did everything or not, then if I love you, I will give you at least a cup of coffee. Try other activities, meditation and exercise. Now, Wednesdays, I usually meditate, but of course, I'm doing this webinar. But I will spend time over the next course of 3 or 4 days, spending time alone meditating and working on my inner self. It's important for me. It creates harmony and balance for me, and it calms me down so that I can think objectively and analyze a situation without emotion and without aggression. And of course, knowing when it's time to quit. It pains me to have had to do that with people in my life. But unfortunately, sometimes, for lots of reasons, you're just not walking the same road. And if you've had to do that, my heart goes out to you. And if you've had someone do that to you, my heart goes out to you. Because neither one is nice. But maybe it was necessary for lots of reasons. And we can only hope that in time over in your lifetime that you will have an opportunity to reconnect with them on a more loving way. But when it's time to quit, it's time to quit. You need to walk away, you need to walk away. Self-preservation is your priority. It's not your responsibility to take care of them. It is your responsibility to do everything you possibly can, but once you've exhausted and you think, you know what, I can't do anymore and I need to be on my own away from you or away from the thing, then that's cool. You've got that right to do that. You really created beautiful. I think ginger cats are so cute when they're little babies. They're just so cute. I love them. I love them. My cat is Mufasa is grey and white, and Lulu is black and white. But I just think they're so gorgeous, just like you. I know that sounds very cliche, but it's the truth. You are what you are. You're imperfectly, perfectly created. You've got gifts, talents, and abilities that the world needs, just as I do. I love to cook, but I certainly am no chef. But if I have to cook to survive, I do, and I will. But in my head, I really think I can do all things. But when it comes down to it, I go, you know what, Marie, you might think you're a great cook, but let me tell you, girl, you can just manage to put on, basic stuff, and that's really cool. And that's fine. I don't want to be all things to all people. In fact, if I don't cook much for the rest of my life, I'm not going to lose any sleep. I will cook. I just don't make it my priority. But I'm amazing at helping others get through things and work through things. I love that because that is my passion. So I leave the cooking to others and I'm very happy to eat what they cook. Very happy. Rejection equals pain and fear. These are some of the things that we can do when when we function in rejection habits. It's definitely not an example of assertiveness. It's not speaking up and letting people know how you feel. Lacking the courage to function independently. You're attached to too many people and things. It's just an embryonic connection that is toxic. Not having your identity or independence away from people is not healthy. People pleasing attitude, doing everything for everyone because that's what you feel you need to do. You internalize the feelings and then you exaggerate them. So you might think, well, I said that yesterday and it wasn't very intelligent. All of a sudden, you are saying to yourself that everything you say is dumb and stupid and unacceptable. You've exaggerated something that wasn't real. You crave acceptance but display distancing. So the push-pull thing, you want someone to love you as long as they do and say what you want them to say and do. That's just not the way it is. People are individual, and if you expect people to like and say what you do, then you are trying to control and manipulate them. You need to accept them where they are and vice versa. People need to accept you for where you are. Push-pull behaviors, vicious circle, and love and hate you. Well, I love you as long as you do and say what I want you to do, and as soon as you do and say what I don't want you to do, I'm going to remind you through punishment that you're just not worthy of my time. Please don't do that, and if someone is doing that to you, you need to go to them and speak to them immediately. So these are some of the things that we can do to other people when we react from rejection. Really, the past is dead. The past cannot control you. You need to stop dwelling in the past and look towards how you can heal from the situations to move forward. Being in the present to work towards your future is necessary for you. The past is the dead. It has no control over it, only the control that you give it. So, Xena the warrior princess, one of my fab heroines. I hope you get it. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, and I do hope this information is helpful and useful to you. But the question remains, and I need to be very clear on this. What is the next thing for you to decide? Because there definitely is a decision-making time. Only you really have the power to change the situations in your life and who and what you will put up with. My life wasn't an example of someone living with safe boundaries because of what I went through. It caused a lot of damage control. And it caused a lot of damage, but I really stand up for myself. I stand up for myself when something doesn't align with my values and belief systems. And I'll do it to the best of my ability, but at the end of the day, if I have to walk a different choice, I'll walk a different choice. And I'm so fortunate to have amazing people in my life that love me for who I am and accept me from who I am, and vice versa. And there are things they do and I do which I think, okay, and they must think, okay, but hey, that's just the way we are. We are perfectly created. And you brush your teeth a certain way, and I brush my teeth a certain way. And you make your coffee one way, and I make my coffee this way. And that's okay. Both ways are right. It's just as long as those ways do not impinge on your safety and well-being. Action changes things. This is great hearing it, and I hope that you're getting stuff out of this. But the reality is that until you make a decision to change something and do something about it, change will not be in your change just won't happen. Now, if you don't know where to start, cool. Start with what you know. Connect with me, get some other help, have a conversation with me, start some research, do something. Doing nothing is irresponsible. It is saying you're not serious about having a great life, okay, and a happy life. Doing anything, something is always better than doing nothing, and you work at it along the way. So I encourage you to take action. Do something today. As soon as you get off this webinar, do something. Connect, research, ask for help, apologize, connect with someone, do what you need to do where you are now until the next step shows up in your life. Thank you and acknowledgements for all the amazing people in my life and the various resources, nurturing up, and my amazing mentors and friends that have been so supportive to me and helped me along the way. And my daughter, who absolutely just believes me 1,000%. Truly, sometimes I really want to help people to know that there really is life outside of trauma. You can have a great life. Yes, it is hard work. It's challenging and costly work, but the rewards cannot be compared. Cannot be compared. So I've given you the where it may come from. I've given you the why it may happen. I've given you the how to. I have suggested that you take action. Now I'm going to ask you the question of what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for now? Are you waiting for Thor to come down and smack his hammer on the ground in front of your feet? Are you waiting for some miracle to happen? Are you waiting for people to change? Are you waiting for the right circumstances to happen in your life? That's just not going to happen. Change happens when you take action. You really do hold the key to your freedom. You're the only one that can make any changes about what happened. And again, it's very important that you accept that it is a journey, that some days you will have big bumps along the road, other days you will not see the road, other days you will fall down on the road, but you've got to keep getting up. And remember that if you have survived this far the way you are, that it served you a purpose. So, but if now you feel and you can see that there are tangible evidences of ways that are not working in your life because of experiences that you've had, then it is time to take action. I see this all the time. I had a conversation with a lady that I had worked with, and I know she is experiencing, situations, and it grieves me because the truth was that she was not ready to make the change. And that's okay. There's nothing that I can do. You have to let people be people. And if people want to stay where they are, that's okay too. They've got that right. You need to make sure that that is a match for you. And unfortunately, I cannot help someone that doesn't want to help themselves. And that's okay. I can still love them. I can still be supportive and give them this information to hopefully keep putting the message in their brain that they really are an awesome and amazing person. And there is hope. My contact details again for you: mobile, email, website, and Facebook. Uh, Make sure you connect with me. I encourage you to connect with me. I do try and get back to people prompt, but of course, there's one of me and there's a whole lot more of you on this webinar. I do invite anyone who is serious about making the change in their life to call or email me to have a free discussion. And please don't think that if you do call or email me that I'm going to ask you for your credit card. I'm not destined to work with everyone, and you may or may not be a match to me. But if you are, then definitely I will be saying it's time to put a program in place to work together and invest financially. Absolutely. It takes time, energy, and money to change. Don't delude yourself on that. But if I don't feel we're a match, I will try and steer you in the right direction and definitely give you resources to help you. I owe that to you, but I also want to do that for you. Contact details again: 0404 611 634 is my mobile number. I'd love to hear from you and definitely hear how else I can help you. And I would love to be able to give you more resources, information, and tips about what I've presented today and in the past. And I'd love to encourage you to invite your friends and family and associates for the webinar. Definitely. And if there's something else I can help you with, then hey, cool, connect with me. That's a picture of me on the balcony on an island of Tenerife, which is an island outside of Spain. Now, thankfully, you can't see me very close, but I was very, very sick then. That was many, many years ago now. I was losing weight rapidly, and even that skirt that I was wearing was difficult holding it up. I think I had to wear some sort of belt underneath it. And as you can see, I don't look very well. I was very unhealthy. I'd reached a point where I had exhausted myself from people and burnt out from being people pleaser and all sorts of different things going on in my life. And that year for me was a catalyst. I really started to look at really investing in myself. And I would say that my journey started a long time ago, but I've had many valleys and many mountains along the way. But that was a very, very much a catalyst moment for me. I decided that I would never allow myself to be put through what I went through and what I allowed myself to went through. And I did go through things after, but definitely I'm grateful that I stopped and got off that roller coaster nightmare. But that was me, and this is me now. That picture was taken several months ago. I'm not training as much at the moment. I'm having a break for, of course, for study and working on this webinar. But that is definitely me. So again, that was me. Look at that. Look at that. That's not health. Look at that. And I've been following an isogenics diet for some time now, and I love it. I love it. I just can't speak highly enough of it. So it is possible, absolutely possible. These are some of the strategies that I can chat to you about where you are and where you may want to improve on. Of course, it's not limited to, but these are some of the areas that I do work with people. And again, it's, whatever it is your circumstance, let's look at how I can help you to work through your particular situation. So the next 2 weeks I will be discussing energetic vibration, psychic vampires, and empaths. Now I'm very excited about this. I had a massive epiphany about 2 or 3 days ago. I was going to be speaking about another subject, but I really had this epiphany that this is a subject that is extremely important and not one covered in 2 subjects, but I'm going to do my best to give you valid information. What is meant by energetic vibration? Do psychic vampires really exist? What is an empath? and how do I heal from toxic cord attachment. So I'm going to split it up. I haven't quite made up my mind what I will do next week and so forth. I'll probably blend a little bit of it because they kind of cross over to each other, but I will definitely be very excited to bring you this information. I think you are going to love it and get a lot out of it, and it will make a lot of sense to you. I want to thank you very much for your energy and presence at my webinar. I know that you've given up your time to be here with me, and I just want to acknowledge you. I also want to let you know that next week's webinar will start at 6:30, not 7 p.m. So if you can't make it, cool, I'll send you the recording. But I do hope to have you next week at 6:30 p.m., not 7 p.m. I want to start a little bit earlier because, as I said, this subject is very intense and there's a lot of stuff in there that may or may not trigger you, but you will start to make sense out of things that have happened to you. So please make sure you register for it, and that way I can at least know that I can send you the webinar recording. Thank you so much for your energy, and connect with me. 0404 611 634 is my phone number. I'd love to hear from you how I can help you and possibly how we can work together. I hope the information today has been practical, a little deep, a little quick, but I want to give you as much as I possibly can for you to look at taking the next step forward into your journey. So again, from me, namaste, thank you, and good